You keep waiting for motivation like it's some kind of miracle that's going to wake you up at 5 a.m., pull you out of bed, and make you chase your dreams. You think you need to feel good to get started. That's the problem. You're chasing a feeling instead of building a mindset. Motivation is fragile. It dies the second life punches you in the face. But discipline is what stands when everything else collapses. When you rely on motivation, you only move when it's convenient, when it's sunny, when you're well rested, when the conditions are perfect. That's not how greatness is built. Discipline is doing what has to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. It's the difference between the person who dreams and the person who executes. It's the quiet voice at 4 a.m. saying, "Get up, we're not done yet." You want change. Then stop waiting for the right mood, the right weather, the right energy, because the world doesn't care about your feelings. Life is going to test you, beat you down, exhaust you, and laugh while you crumble. And in those moments, motivation will abandon you every single time. But discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline doesn't negotiate. It's a contract you sign with yourself, one that you don't get to break just because you're tired, cold, or uninspired. Every morning there's a war inside you. One side wants comfort, rest, ease. The other side wants growth, power, greatness. Motivation is that loud, hyped up cheerleader. It talks big when it's easy. Discipline is the silent soldier that shows up when it's hard. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need reward. It just does the work. When you start depending on motivation, you create a habit of weakness. You condition yourself to wait until you feel ready. Guess what? You'll never feel ready. You'll always find a reason to delay, to stay comfortable, to choose the easy path. That's why most people never see what they're capable of. They live inside a cage built from comfort, and they decorate it with excuses. Discipline breaks that cage. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel. I made a commitment, and I'm keeping it. That's where freedom lies. Real freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to. It's earning your peace by fighting your weakness every single day. You've got to stop looking for lightning bolts of motivation and start building brick by brick, routine, consistency, repetition. You want to transform, then fall in love with the process, not the result. Stop chasing the high of motivation and start respecting the grind of discipline. The grind doesn't give you instant rewards, but it gives you something better. Character. People always talk about balance, about taking it easy, about not pushing too hard. That's the language of comfort. Balance doesn't build warriors. Balance doesn't create leaders. Balance doesn't forge steel. Discipline does. It's not glamorous. It's not fun. And most days it feels like punishment. But that's how you earn the right to look in the mirror and respect what you see. You want to be proud of yourself. Then stop breaking promises to yourself. Every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow, you teach your mind that quitting is acceptable. You're programming failure into your own system. Discipline reprograms that. It rewires you. Every time you show up tired, angry, hurting, you're rewriting your story. You're building proof that you can be trusted, that your word means something. That's where confidence comes from. Keeping the promises you make to yourself when nobody's watching. There are days you'll wake up broken. Days when your body says no, your mind screams stop, and your spirit feels empty. Those are the days that define you. That's the test. That's where the average stop and the uncommon rise. Because anyone can grind when it's easy. But discipline shines when everything in you wants to quit. Understand this, you're not going to feel like it most of the time. You're not going to want to go to the gym, study, practice, or grind. That's normal. That's not weakness. That's humanity. But discipline is what separates the ones who let that feeling win from the ones who win in spite of it. Every rep, every mile, every hour you put in when you don't feel like it, that's where the growth hides. That's where strength is forged, not in excitement, not in comfort, but in the moments when you say, I'll do it anyway. You can either be the person who talks about goals or the person who lives them. The difference, discipline. The talkers wait for motivation. The doers build momentum. They grind when it's dark. They show up when it hurts. And they keep pushing long after the feeling is gone. They don't need hype. They don't need inspiration. They've built a system inside their mind that says, I don't care what's happening. I execute. When you stop depending on motivation, you take back your power. You stop being a slave to emotion. You start leading yourself. And when you can lead yourself, there's nothing you can't do. Discipline is the root of all progress. You want to be fit, focused, successful, respected. It all starts there. Not talent, not luck, not inspiration, discipline. And here's the truth. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall back to your level of training. When chaos hits, when life gets hard, you fall back to your habits. If your habits are weak, you crumble. If your habits are strong, you endure. Discipline is how you build those habits, through repetition, through consistency, through doing what others refuse to do. So every day, remind yourself, you're not here to be motivated. You're here to become unstoppable. You're here to train your mind to show up no matter what. Because one day, when life punches you in the mouth, you'll need more than motivation. You'll need that iron inside you. That voice that says, I've been here before. I've suffered worse. And I'm still standing. That voice doesn't come from hype. It comes from discipline, the kind you earn every day by choosing the harder path, by doing the uncomfortable thing, by refusing to quit. So stop waiting for motivation. Stop scrolling for inspiration. Get up, put your shoes on, and move. Train when it hurts. Work when you're tired. Grind when nobody's watching. That's how you change your life. Not through feelings, through action, through discipline, through the daily decision to keep going when everything in you says stop. You want to change your life. Then stop chasing the spark. Be the fire. Pain, that's the part everyone tries to skip. Everyone wants the results, the glory, the transformation, but nobody wants to walk through the fire it takes to earn it. You can't grow without suffering. You can't level up without breaking. The world has fooled you into believing that comfort is happiness, that ease is success. But the truth is, comfort is the enemy. Comfort is the slow death that robs you of potential and keeps you chained to mediocrity. Every great thing you want for yourself lives on the other side of suffering. When you avoid pain, you avoid progress. The weight you don't lift, the miles you don't run, the fears you don't face, those are the exact things holding you back. You're not supposed to enjoy the grind. You're supposed to endure it, learn from it, and let it harden you into something unbreakable. The pain is the process. The suffering is the lesson. Every rep that burns, every failure that crushes you, every lonely night you spend chasing your dream when nobody believes in you. That's where greatness is born. Most people quit the second it hurts. They think pain means stop, but pain means go. Pain means you're in the right place. It's the signal that you've hit the edge of your comfort zone. And that's where the growth starts. The moment you start embracing that discomfort, not just surviving it, but owning it, you begin to separate yourself from everyone else. Because the truth is, everyone wants change until they feel what change actually costs. Suffering is the currency of greatness. Every person who's ever built something extraordinary has paid with pain. You can't cheat that. You can't fake it. You've got to bleed for it, sweat for it, cry for it, and keep moving anyway. The suffering is the toll you pay to cross from average to exceptional. And most people turn around at the gate because it hurts too much. That's why there's so much mediocrity in the world. Not because people can't do more, but because they won't suffer for it. You need to rewire how you see pain. Don't run from it. Study it. Respect it. Because every ounce of pain teaches you something about who you are. It strips away the lies and the ego and shows you your true self. When you're broken, tired, and pushed to the limit, you find out what's real. That's when you meet the part of yourself that doesn't quit. That's when you build resilience. Most people never meet that version of themselves because they spend their whole lives running from discomfort. They'll make excuses, find shortcuts, look for the easy way out. But easy doesn't build character. Easy doesn't make you proud. Easy doesn't prepare you for life's punches. The world doesn't care about your comfort. It's going to hurt you anyway. So why not suffer on your terms? Why not choose your pain? The pain that leads to strength instead of the pain that comes from regret. Regret is a quiet pain that never leaves. It's the kind that whispers to you at night, asking what could have been. The pain of growth is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. You can't escape suffering, but you can decide what kind of suffering you want. You can suffer now through discipline, through sacrifice, through pushing yourself, or you can suffer later through disappointment and guilt. You have to stop seeing pain as punishment. Pain is feedback. Pain is proof you're alive, that you're in motion, that you're pushing your limits. Every time you hit that wall, you have a choice. You can back off or you can lean in. The weak back off. The strong push through. And every time you push through, you gain something the average person will never understand. A deep, quiet power that comes from knowing you can endure. The human mind is stronger than the body, but most people never train it. They quit long before they've actually reached their limit. When the body says stop, you've still got miles left in you. You just don't know it yet. You've been living soft, avoiding the edges, never testing what you're really capable of. You have no idea how strong you could be because you've never truly suffered. When you embrace the suffering, you become dangerous. Not to others, but to your old self. The lazy version of you dies. The weak version of you fades. You start to become someone who can't be broken because you've already been through hell and survived it. You start to crave the hard days because they remind you who you are. There's something pure about suffering. It strips life down to the truth. When you're exhausted, when you're in pain, there's no pretending. You can't fake who you are in those moments. You either fight or you fold. And when you choose to fight, when you push through that threshold of pain, you gain something money, comfort, or praise can't buy, self-respect. That's the reward. That's the power. You'll start to realize that suffering is not the enemy. It's the doorway. It's the access point to the strongest, most disciplined, most alive version of yourself. You can't read about that. You can't buy it. You have to live it. You have to earn it. You have to understand that nobody is coming to save you from pain. Nobody's going to carry you through it. The world will watch you struggle, and most people won't care. That's fine, because the suffering isn't for them. It's for you. It's your test, your battle, your transformation. Every day you push through it, you're proving to yourself that you can. You're building armor for your mind. When you start to embrace the suffering, something shifts. You stop chasing happiness and start chasing purpose. You stop running from struggle and start looking for it, because you understand that the harder the path, the stronger you become. You begin to respect the grind, because it's the grind that gives your life meaning. Pain doesn't stop you. Quitting does. Pain doesn't destroy you. Fear does. The pain is just part of the path, and if you learn to love it, nothing can touch you. That's when you become unstoppable, because you're no longer dependent on comfort or conditions. You operate regardless of how you feel. You start to see every struggle as a chance to grow, every setback as a chance to adapt, every failure as a chance to rebuild stronger. You have to tell yourself, I'm not afraid to suffer. Because the second you make peace with that, the world loses its power over you. The weather doesn't matter. The opinions don't matter. The obstacles don't matter. You've already decided that you'll go through whatever it takes. That's what separates the average from the elite. Not talent, not luck, but the willingness to suffer longer than anyone else. Every scar, every bruise, every failure becomes a badge of honor. Each one is proof that you stayed in the fight when most people ran, and that's what builds real confidence. Not words, not hype, not fake positivity, but the deep knowing that you've been through pain before and you can go through it again. So stop trying to avoid the hard days. Stop praying for easy. Pray for strength. Pray for resilience. Pray for the courage to keep going when it hurts. Because if you can learn to embrace the suffering, if you can learn to smile in the pain, to stay calm in the chaos, to move forward through the fire, then there is nothing life can throw at you that you can't handle. Pain is the price. Suffering is the path. And the reward is becoming someone unstoppable. Someone who's not afraid to hurt, not afraid to fail, and not afraid to bleed for what they want. That's where transformation happens. That's where you change your life. Excuses are poison. They sound soft, reasonable, even logical, but they're the silent killers of your potential. Every time you make an excuse, you build a wall between who you are and who you could be. You lie to yourself and you make that lie sound true. I'm tired. I don't have time. I'll start tomorrow. Those words are chains. And every time you say them, you wrap another link around your own neck. The worst part, you believe it. You convince yourself that the excuse is valid, and that's how you destroy your greatness before it ever has a chance to live. You've got to get real with yourself. Stop sugarcoating your weakness. Stop hiding behind stories that keep you safe. You're not tired. You're undisciplined. You're not too busy. You're disorganized. You're not unlucky. You're uncommitted. Every excuse you make is a negotiation with mediocrity, and every time you accept it, you lose a piece of who you are meant to be. You've got to be willing to call yourself out. Not once, not sometimes, every day. Because if you don't, those excuses will multiply and consume everything you touch. The truth is, nobody cares about your excuses. The world doesn't stop for your bad day. Life doesn't pause because you're not feeling it. The clock keeps moving whether you do or not. So you can either spend your life explaining why you didn't get it done, or you can get it done. You can't have both. Excuses give you short-term comfort but long-term pain. Accountability gives you short-term pain but long-term freedom. Choose your pain. You know exactly what's holding you back. It's not a mystery. It's not fate. It's not other people. It's the conversation you have with yourself when no one's around. It's that voice that tells you, you've done enough today. It's that whisper that says, you deserve a break. That voice is not your friend. It's the part of you that wants to stay comfortable. It's the part that wants to protect you from discomfort. But in doing so, it's keeping you from greatness. You've got to confront that voice. You've got to drag it into the light and expose it. Because when you look it in the eye and say, I see you, you take away its power. Excuses thrive in darkness. They grow when you don't question them. But the moment you face them, they shrink. The moment you admit, I've been lying to myself, you start to take control back. You have to learn to be brutally honest with yourself, not polite honesty, brutal honesty. The kind that hurts, the kind that strips away your pride and forces you to see the truth. Because you can't fix what you won't face. And until you stop lying to yourself, nothing changes. You'll keep saying you're going to start on Monday. You'll keep saying next month will be different, and it won't. Because you're living in a cycle of self-deception. Every time you make an excuse, you make weakness comfortable. You teach your mind that quitting is acceptable. You reward yourself for failure. That's how people die with potential still inside them, not because they weren't capable, but because they got too good at making excuses for why they weren't. You've got to flip that switch. You've got to start hating your own excuses more than you hate the work. When you hear yourself justifying something, stop, interrupt it. Ask yourself, is this true? Or is this just easy? 99% of the time, it's just easy. You think other people have it easier. They don't. They just stopped letting their excuses lead their life. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent or luck. It's ownership. It's the decision to take full responsibility for everything. Even when it's not your fault, you own it. Because ownership means control. When you blame, you hand away your power. When you own it, you take it back. Every excuse you kill brings you closer to freedom. Freedom from your own limitations. Freedom from fear. Freedom from that soft version of yourself that settles for average. You have to become allergic to excuses. You have to build a mindset that rejects them completely. When your mind says, I can't, you answer, yes, I can. When it says, it's too hard, you say, good, that's why I'm doing it. That's how you rewire yourself. That's how you train your mind to obey you instead of the other way around. There's a reason why most people never reach their potential. It's not because they don't want to succeed. It's because they refuse to accept responsibility. It's easier to say, I don't have time, than to admit I wasted it. It's easier to say, I'm not lucky, than to admit I didn't put in the work. But if you can learn to face that truth, if you can stand in front of the mirror and admit that your life is exactly what you've chosen it to be, then you can change it. Every day you wake up, you have a decision, make progress or make excuses. There's no in between. Every skipped workout, every missed opportunity, every lazy day adds up. Excuses compound like interest, and before you know it, you're bankrupt. But the opposite is true, too. Accountability compounds. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, every time you silence that voice that says, not today, you build equity in your own strength. You've got to become obsessed with catching yourself in the act of making excuses. The moment that thought shows up, I'll do it later. That's your signal. That's the moment to strike. Don't negotiate with that voice. Don't explain it away. Act, move. The longer you think about it, the stronger the excuse gets. Action kills excuses. Movement destroys doubt. Every time you move, you prove that you're in control. And don't think this battle ever ends. Excuses never die. They just evolve. They'll show up in new disguises: fatigue, stress, distraction, comfort. But you'll learn to recognize them faster. You'll get better at catching them before they take root. That's what self-mastery looks like. Not perfection, but awareness and control. There will be people who enable your excuses, who tell you it's okay that you've done enough. Don't listen to them. They mean well, but they're part of the problem. They're trying to protect you from discomfort, just like that weak voice in your head. You need people who hold you accountable, who remind you of what you said you wanted. But at the end of the day, nobody can save you from yourself. You've got to be your own drill sergeant. You've got to call yourself out every time you try to escape the work. When you learn to do that, when you stop lying to yourself, your life starts to shift. You start to move differently. You stop wasting time trying to look busy and start actually getting better. You stop chasing motivation because you know the truth now. Motivation is nothing without accountability. If you want to change your life, start with your excuses. Hunt them down. Destroy them one by one. Every time you silence an excuse, you gain power. Every time you take ownership, you gain clarity. And soon, you'll look back and realize that the person you used to be, the one who made excuses for everything, is gone. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't have it. Change the story. Stop saying, I can't. Start saying, I will. Stop saying, I'll try. Start saying, I must. Because when you eliminate excuses, there's nothing left but the truth. And the truth is, you are capable of far more than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. Excuses are comfort. Accountability is freedom. Choose freedom. The real battle is not out there. It's not the job, the money, the people, or the circumstances. The real war is happening inside your head every single day. It's you versus you. And most people are losing that war before they even step out of bed. You wake up and your mind starts talking, telling you you're tired, telling you can't, telling you it's okay to take a break. That voice is your enemy. It sounds like you, but it's not the real you. It's the part of you that's scared, weak, comfortable, and lazy. It's the voice that has robbed more people of greatness than failure ever could. Winning the war in your mind means learning to silence that voice. It means refusing to let your emotions dictate your actions. Your mind will always look for the easy way out because it's built for survival, not greatness. It doesn't care about success, discipline, or goals. It just wants comfort. That's why you have to train it. You have to condition your mind to obey you, not the other way around. Because if you don't control your mind will control you. Every time you hesitate, every time you give in to that inner voice that says, later, you strengthen it. You make it louder. You teach it that it can control you. But every time you act in spite of it, every time you do the thing you don't want to do, you weaken it. You start to take your power back. That's how you win. Not through some motivational high, but through consistent acts of defiance against your own weakness. You have to understand that your mind will do everything it can to protect you from discomfort. It will justify your excuses, rationalize your laziness, and make quitting sound smart. It's a master manipulator. It will whisper, "You've worked hard enough today," or "You deserve a break," or "You're not built for this." But that's when you have to step outside of your feelings and think like a soldier. Feelings are liars. They change with the weather. One minute you're all in, the next you're ready to quit. You can't trust them. You can only trust discipline. Winning the war in your mind means getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. It means embracing the struggle, the grind, the fatigue, the self-doubt, all of it. Because that's where strength is built. The stronger your mind, the weaker your excuses. The more you challenge your thoughts, the more you realize how many of them are lies. Most of your limits are not real. They're mental barriers that you built through years of quitting early, giving up, and listening to the voice that told you enough. You have to learn how to separate the voice of weakness from the voice of truth. The voice of weakness says, "Stop, this hurts." The voice of truth says, "This is where we grow." The voice of weakness says, "It's too much." The voice of truth says, "You've survived worse." The voice of weakness tells you that you can't, and the voice of truth reminds you that you can, and you have before. But you only hear the truth if you're willing to go through the pain to find it. Most people quit before they ever hear it. They surrender before they ever see how strong they really are. You have to reprogram your mind through action. The mind doesn't change through talk. You can read every book, watch every video, listen to every speech, but nothing will change until you prove to your mind that you're serious. Every time you do something hard, every time you push past pain, you're teaching your brain that you're in control. That's how confidence is built, not by telling yourself you can, but by showing yourself you can. Your mind is your most powerful weapon, but it's also your greatest enemy if you don't learn to control it. It will make you sabotage your own success. It will tell you to stay small, to avoid failure, to hide from pain. But you can't win anything in life if you're constantly running from the fight. You've got to turn around and face it. The moment you do, you realize the monster in your head isn't as big as it seemed. The fear was always louder than the reality. There's a switch inside you, a level you've never hit, because your mind tells you to stop long before you reach it. When your body says you're done, when your mind says you can't take another step, you've still got more, much more. Most people quit at 40% of their potential because their mind convinces them that's their limit, but that's the lie. You've got to learn to push through that barrier. You've got to go past the point where your mind screams stop and prove that you can keep moving. That's where real strength lies. That's where transformation begins. You can't just train your body. You have to train your mind every day. You do it by putting yourself in situations that test you. Early mornings, long runs, heavy weights, silence, stillness, challenges that make you uncomfortable. You do it by doing the hard things on purpose, because each time you survive the struggle, your mind gets stronger. It learns that pain is not the enemy. It learns that fear is temporary. It learns that suffering is survivable. The war in your mind never ends. There's no finish line. Every day you wake up, you start over. Every day that weak voice comes back, ready to drag you down. And every day you have to fight it again. That's the game. That's the grind. That's what separates those who talk from those who win. The ones who keep winning are not the ones who have silence in their heads. They're the ones who've learned how to fight through the noise. When you control your mind, you control everything. You control how you react, how you move, how you handle failure, how you deal with pain. You become unshakable. Nothing external can destroy someone who's mastered their internal world. Because when the world falls apart, the strong mind stays calm. When the pain comes, the strong mind adapts. When everything goes wrong, the strong mind says, good, more to overcome. That's what it means to win inside. You've got to be ruthless about protecting your mental space. Don't feed your mind with garbage. Don't surround yourself with negativity, laziness, or excuses. Your environment is a mirror. If you're surrounded by weak minds, you start to think like them. Be around people who challenge you, who demand more from you, who make you uncomfortable. That's how you grow mentally tough, by stepping into environments that stretch you. The strongest people aren't the ones who never break. They're the ones who know how to rebuild. They know that life will test them, but they've built a mind that doesn't quit. They've turned suffering into fuel. They've taken fear and turned it into focus. They've stopped negotiating with their limits and started commanding their actions. That's what mental toughness really is. Not arrogance, but control. When you start winning the war in your mind, everything else changes. The body follows the mind. The habits follow the mind. The life follows the mind. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop hoping for things to get easier and start getting stronger. You stop being your own enemy and start becoming your greatest ally. You have to make a choice. Either your mind runs you or you run it. There's no middle ground. You can keep letting your thoughts talk you out of greatness, or you can stand up and take control. You can tell that voice, not today, not anymore. And the moment you do that, even once, you start to change, because you realize the power was never out there. It was always in here. Win the war in your mind and you win everything. Lose it and you lose before the fight even begins. It's that simple. The choice is yours. Surrender to the weakness or dominate it. Every day, every decision, every second, the war goes on. And the question you have to ask yourself every morning is simple: who's winning today? Most people settle. They settle for average, for ordinary, for just enough to get by. They build their lives around comfort and call it happiness. But if you want to change your life, really change it, you can't live like most people. You have to decide that you will be uncommon amongst the common. That means standing alone. That means doing the things others won't. That means living a life that most people will never understand. Being uncommon isn't about being special or gifted. It's about refusing to accept average as your standard. It's about doing the hard work when no one's watching, staying disciplined when nobody cares, and holding yourself to a level that most people will never even reach for. Anyone can be normal. It takes nothing to blend in, but it takes courage to stand out. It takes guts to walk a lonely path when everyone else is taking the easy one. You have to stop looking around and comparing yourself to people who are comfortable. The common person wants comfort, praise, and shortcuts. The uncommon person wants growth, challenge, and purpose. The uncommon doesn't chase approval. They chase mastery. They don't seek validation. They seek results. They don't need motivation because they've built discipline. That's what separates them. The world is full of people who quit when it hurts, who complain when it's hard, who stop when it's inconvenient. That's the standard now. Do the bare minimum and expect maximum rewards. But if you want to be uncommon, you do more. You push when others pause. You grind when others rest. You give your best even when it feels pointless. Because you're not doing it for recognition. You're doing it to build something inside you that can't be taken away. The uncommon mindset means you don't need applause to stay consistent. You don't need validation to keep going. You do it because you said you would. You do it because that's who you are. And the truth is, being uncommon is lonely. You'll be misunderstood, doubted, and sometimes hated. People will say you're obsessed, extreme, too serious. They'll call you crazy for pushing so hard. Let them talk. Let them live their soft lives. Because while they're talking, you're building. While they're resting, you're rising. The uncommon person doesn't wait for opportunity. They create it. They don't need ideal conditions because they thrive in the chaos. They train their mind to perform when it's cold, when it's painful, when it's impossible. They know that the real measure of strength isn't how you perform when everything feels good. It's how you perform when everything falls apart. That's where the uncommon live. In the fire and the grind, in the moments that would break most people. Being uncommon isn't about talent. It's about effort. It's about discipline. It's about waking up early, putting in the work, and refusing to quit. It's about being relentless when everyone else gets comfortable. It's about keeping your promises to yourself, even when nobody's there to see it. That's what builds a foundation that can't be shaken. You're not born uncommon. You become uncommon through repetition, through pain, through doing what others refuse to do day after day. You'll know you're on the right path when people start to distance themselves. When you start growing, the ones who stay comfortable will start to feel uncomfortable around you. They'll project their limitations onto you. They'll tell you to slow down, to take it easy, to be realistic. But Realistic is just another word for average. And average has never changed the world. If you want to live a life that most people dream about, you have to do what most people won't. When you're uncommon, you stop needing external approval. You start living by your own code. You stop being driven by results and start being driven by standards. Your standard becomes excellence in everything. The way you work, the way you think, the way you live. You start holding yourself accountable for every detail because you know the small things create the big results. Being uncommon means you take pride in discipline, in consistency, in the struggle. You don't brag about how tired you are. You get the job done anyway. You don't talk about how hard it is. You keep pushing. You move in silence and let your results make the noise. You stop waiting for someone to recognize your effort and start recognizing it yourself. Because deep down, you know that being uncommon isn't about attention. It's about transformation. You have to stop expecting everyone to understand your grind. Most won't. They can't. They've never tasted what it feels like to give everything and still keep going. They've never felt the hunger that comes from wanting to be more than just another face in the crowd. They've never known the satisfaction of breaking through limits they thought were permanent. That's what makes the uncommon different. They find beauty in the struggle. They find purpose in the pain. They live for the moments that test their soul. You have to make peace with being uncomfortable. Not just physically, but mentally. You'll be alone a lot. You'll be doubted. You'll be questioned. But that's the price you pay to live free from average. You can't be both accepted by the crowd and exceptional at the same time. You have to choose. The uncommon choose isolation over imitation. They'd rather walk alone in truth than follow the crowd in lies. When you live with an uncommon mindset, everything becomes an opportunity. Every failure becomes fuel. Every obstacle becomes a challenge to overcome. You stop seeing setbacks as reasons to quit and start seeing them as chances to sharpen yourself. That's how you grow beyond what you thought was possible. You stop saying, "Why me?" and start saying, "Try me." The uncommon are not fearless. They just act despite the fear. They don't wait to feel ready. They move anyway. They understand that growth demands discomfort and that comfort kills ambition. They've learned to love the grind, to love the suffering, to love the process, because they know that's where the reward is hidden, not at the finish line, but in the daily battle to get there. You'll start to notice that the uncommon don't brag about what they're doing. They're too busy doing it. They're not loud, they're consistent. They're not chasing quick wins. They're building long-term greatness. They know that every rep, every run, every hour invested adds up. And while the common crowd is celebrating small achievements, the uncommon are still grinding in silence because they know that the work never ends. Being uncommon means you never arrive. You never get comfortable. You never settle. The moment you think you've made it, you start to fall. So you keep pushing, keep evolving, keep chasing the next level. You never compare yourself to others, only to who you were yesterday. That's how you keep climbing. That's how you stay hungry. You have to decide who you want to be, another face in the crowd, or the one who stands apart, the one who blends in, or the one who inspires, the one who talks, or the one who acts. The world doesn't need more common people. It needs more uncommon ones, people who lead by example, who set new standards, who show others what's possible when you refuse to quit. So stop trying to fit in. Stop trying to impress people who aren't even pushing themselves. Stop lowering your standard to make others comfortable. You're not here to be like everyone else. You're here to show what's possible when you refuse to settle. You're here to lead, to grind, to rise above. Being uncommon isn't a title. It's a lifestyle. It's the daily decision to keep going when the world says stop. It's the choice to be disciplined when nobody's watching. It's the mindset that says, I'm not done yet. And when you live like that, when you walk that path, your life will never be the same. Because while the common are sleeping, you'll be working. While they're talking, you'll be doing. And while they're dreaming, you'll be living what they only imagine. Be uncommon amongst the common. Not because it's easy, but because it's right. Because deep down, you know you were never built to be ordinary. You were built to be exceptional. And it's time to start proving it. A savage mindset is not born, it's built. It's built through pain, through repetition, through a refusal to let weakness run your life. It's not about being cruel or heartless. It's about being unbreakable. It's about building a mind so strong that no matter what life throws at you, you don't bend, you don't break, you don't quit. You keep moving forward no matter what. Most people crumble the moment things get hard. They retreat into comfort, into excuses, into distractions. But the savage doesn't run. The savage faces the storm and says, let's go. You can't fake a savage mindset. You can't just read a quote or watch a video and suddenly have one. You build it brick by brick, day by day, through actions, through discipline, through choosing the harder path when nobody's watching. It's forged in silence, not applause. You can't buy it, you can't borrow it, and you can't pretend to have it. It's earned in the dark when no one believes in you, when your body screams to stop, when everything inside you wants to quit, and you don't. That's when you build it. The savage mindset isn't about always winning. It's about never quitting. It's not about being fearless. It's about acting in spite of fear. It's knowing that pain, doubt, and exhaustion are just part of the process, and you face them anyway. You don't negotiate with weakness. You don't give it space to grow. You crush it before it controls you. Every time you push past your limits, every time you silence the voice that says, enough, you strengthen your mind. You remind yourself who's in control. You not your feelings, not your excuses, not your circumstances. There's no comfort in a savage mindset. Comfort is the enemy. Comfort kills ambition. Comfort is the reason most people never see what they're capable of. The savage learns to live in discomfort. They make it their home. They stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as proof that they're alive, that they're growing, that they're doing what others won't. When your mind becomes savage, you stop chasing easy. You stop looking for shortcuts. You start craving the hard things because that's where strength is born. Most people wait for motivation. They wait for the right time, the right mood, the perfect conditions. The savage doesn't wait. They act. They know motivation is unreliable, but discipline is constant. They get up when they don't feel like it. They train when they're tired. They work when it hurts because they know the world doesn't care about how you feel. It only cares about what you do. The savage mindset is about removing the emotion from the mission. You show up no matter what. You do the work no matter what. When you start building this mindset, your life will get harder before it gets easier. You'll lose people who don't understand your drive. You'll be misunderstood, judged, even laughed at. But you'll also start seeing results that no one else does. Because while they're sleeping, you're grinding. While they're talking, you're improving. While they're comfortable, you're becoming unstoppable. The savage mindset separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the achievers, the average from the elite. A savage doesn't care about recognition. They don't need validation or applause. They're too focused on the mission. They know the real reward isn't a trophy or a title. It's transformation. It's the person you become in the process. That's what the savage is chasing, becoming someone who can't be broken, someone who's mastered their mind, someone who doesn't just survive the storm, but thrives in it. When your mind is savage, failure doesn't scare you. It fuels you. You don't see losses as setbacks. You see them as lessons. You don't hide from your weaknesses. You expose them and destroy them. You use every failure as fuel to grow. That's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. The weak let failure define them. The savage lets failure refine them. Building a savage mindset means removing all options to quit. You burn the boats. You remove the plan B. You commit fully. Because as long as you leave a door open to escape, you'll use it. The savage locks that door. They understand that only when you have no choice, but forward will you find out what you're truly capable of. That's when you find your strength. That's when you meet the real you. The version that doesn't rely on comfort or approval, but on willpower and purpose. You can't build a savage mind if you keep protecting yourself from pain. You can't grow if you avoid the hard stuff. You have to face it head on. You have to chase it. You have to do the things you don't want to do, because that's where the transformation happens. The savage mindset is about conditioning your mind to perform under pressure. It's about controlling your thoughts when chaos hits. Because when the world falls apart, the savage stays calm. When everything burns, the savage walks through the fire. You'll notice that the savage never blames anyone. They take full ownership of their failures, their actions, their life. They don't point fingers, they point inward. Because blaming others gives away your power, and a savage never does that. They take control, they take responsibility, and they take action. They don't make excuses, they make adjustments. That's the difference between average and unstoppable. Building this mindset will test every part of you. It will break you down. You'll question yourself, you'll doubt yourself, you'll want to quit. But if you keep going, if you push one more step, one more rep, one more day, you'll come out stronger. You'll come out sharper. You'll come out different. That's what this journey does. It strips away weakness until only strength remains. The savage knows that comfort zones are prisons. They know that if they stop pushing, they start dying. So they keep going. They keep evolving. They never settle. They live by a code no matter what happens. I don't quit. I don't complain. I don't stop. And that code builds a mind that can't be broken, a spirit that can't be shaken, and a heart that can't be defeated. This mindset changes everything. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop waiting for things to happen and start making them happen. You stop being a victim and start being a warrior. You stop running from challenges and start hunting them. Every day becomes a test, and you start passing those tests because you've trained your mind to thrive where others fall. When you become savage, you stop asking, how long will it take? And start saying, as long as it takes. You stop looking for easy paths because you know they lead nowhere. You choose the hard road every time because that's where greatness lies. You learn to love the process, not the result, because once your mind is strong enough, the results will come automatically. You don't need anyone to save you. You don't need anyone to push you. You become your own motivation, your own coach, your own competition. You wake up every day ready to battle the weaker version of yourself, and you win. That's what being savage is about. Not beating others, but beating the old you, the lazy you, the scared you, the undisciplined you. Every day, you kill that version and rebuild yourself stronger. There's no finish line in this game. There's no done. The savage mindset is forever. It's a lifelong commitment to becoming better, stronger, more disciplined. It's a promise to yourself that you will never stop growing. Because the moment you stop, the world catches up. So you keep moving, you keep grinding, you keep evolving. You become unstoppable. Not because you're fearless, but because you've learned to move forward in spite of fear. That's the power of a savage mind. It doesn't make life easier. It makes you tougher. It doesn't remove pain. It teaches you how to endure it. It doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees that no matter what happens, you'll never quit. And in the end, that's what separates those who dream from those who do. So build that mind. Train it every day. Push yourself past comfort, past fear, past limits. Keep grinding when it hurts. Keep showing up when no one's watching. Keep proving to yourself that you're built different. Because once your mind becomes savage, your life will never be the same. You'll stop surviving and start dominating. You'll stop wishing and start becoming. And that's how you truly change your life.